Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gardner, we had our last hearing on the topic in December 2021, just after the BIL had passed. One of the challenges raised was making sure there were enough people hired to implement the funding, both at FRA and at Amtrak. Can you update us on what your people plan looks like and where you are in achieving that?
Yes, sir. Ranking Member Larsen, appreciate the question.
Sir's fine, but yeah.
Yeah, sir. We've had great results so far in our hiring efforts. As you say, we're really changing the whole scale of the company. And last year we hired about 3,700 people. Already this year we've hired 2,700 folks. By the end of the year we'll have hired about 5,000 additional employees. Some of that's to fill attrition, the normal retirements and so forth, and some of it is to create more capacity. And those jobs are across America. We have a 46-state, 3-province network, and focused all across our different functions. So a significant portion of those are craft hires, folks who are out there running the trains, maintaining the infrastructure. But we've also really invested in our program management, design capacity, all of the really professionals that are out there to help us build new projects and update our infrastructure and procure this new fleet.
Are there areas during the pandemic where you lost people proportionally in a function and you're having to build that back up in particular?
Yes, notably our mechanical forces, and I'm glad to say we're well above now some of our levels that we had even pre-pandemic to create the capacity we need to maintain our equipment. And that's mostly driven by the fact that there's huge demand for skilled workers in this area. Electricians, welders, machinists, massive demand, and being competitive has been hard for us in certain regions of the country. So we've really worked hard. We've also created a new apprenticeship program, and this is a program that is supported through grant funds with our various unions, and then rolling out across our mechanical facilities so that we can train folks and give them the capabilities they need to serve Amtrak, but also lifelong skills. So it's really been a good partnership.
So this BIL was a historic investment in passenger rail, but it really means a historic investment in hiring people in order to have passenger rail, it seems.
Absolutely. We're doing hiring that Amtrak would do in a year now that we would take a half a decade to have done previously because of this new capacity we need to build. And it's a chance to build a whole new generation of rail workers. It's one of the most exciting things I think about this time is we're building a new generation of skilled employees who are here to contribute to the mission.
Mr. Warren, thanks. Mr. Warren, at the commission, you mentioned your focus on infrastructure. Do you have, even with your partners, do you have a similar set of issues in hiring people to make these projects work, to make these projects happen? I apologize.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges to implementing all of these projects, spending the money from the infrastructure bill, is hiring workers. Every one of our members, and Stephen talked about the hiring they're doing, it's critical. And it's not easy. It's a tight labor market. But that hiring has to be done. It's creating a lot of good jobs, but it's essential if these projects are going to move forward. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on the corridor and nationwide, but our focus is certainly the corridor. And you got to have the workforce, both management and labor, to make it happen. And without the funding certainty of the infrastructure bill, Amtrak wouldn't be hiring as much as it is right now. The funding certainty is critical to giving our members the confidence to go out and hire and train, because everyone you hire, you're training sometimes for a year or more.
Yeah. A second point I wanted to make, and made in my opening statement, was that passengers and states want more rail service. And maybe Mr. Gardner, this is not for you to say how great Washington State and the Northwest is. We tend to be more ahead in other areas in the state-supported system. But who's in second place and who's in last generally? Like, what kind of work needs to take place in different areas of the country to get caught up on the state-supported systems?
Well, thank you, sir. We have generally restored frequencies to all of our routes across the United States, but you're right that we have a strong program in the Pacific Northwest, the Cascade Service, and Washington State's leadership there has been tremendous. The goal later this fall will be to introduce the 5th and 6th round trip, so to increase service still, and I know it was very important to you that we were able to go back to Vancouver and have 2 round trips there. When you look at the current state-supported system, we've seen really a lot of enthusiasm from all over. And I think it's really important to note that this drive to grow and improve service is really state and community driven. Amtrak is their partner, but fundamentally this is the decision that states make to decide to expand or invest in service. Part of the big challenge for the current network.
You have to wrap up and go on the for the record.
I say is that we have a lot of places that don't have passenger rail service today at the levels that exist, like in the Cascades, the Southeast, the Mountain West, and we see a lot of interest from communities there right now.
Excellent.